Hello and welcome to the ARC Hive Podcast, where we explore the arcs of our individual journeys and the strength of the hive that holds us together. I'm Amy Rost, and I believe that life isn't meant to be navigated alone. Here we dive into conversations that bring us closer to ourselves, to each other, and to the communities that lift us up. This is a space for real stories, honest reflection, and meaningful connection. Whether you're in a season of transition, seeking deeper relationships, or simply craving conversations that inspire growth, the Hive is for you. Because when we come together, we grow stronger. Welcome to the archive. Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here today, and I'm so excited to share our guest today. Hello, Carmen Christensen.
Hi, Amy.
How are you?
I'm so happy to be here. I'm nervous and excited and can't wait to chat.
It's fine. It's all okay. No need to be nervous. Like we were saying just before we jumped on, it's like we're sitting having a coffee. We are having these conversations anyways. It's just a different format when there's a mic and a camera on us. But we'll be okay. So this episode, we are going to dive into, we're going to talk to Carmen. She's the founder of Illuminating Coaching. We're going to talk about self-love, empowerment, creating a life that truly aligns with your values. Carmen's work is all about helping women build confidence, embrace their personal power, and step into the best versions of themselves. Not by forcing change, but by supporting them in finding what feels right and authentic. We're going to chat about coaching, excuse me, and community and connection and how it plays a vital role in helping women grow, move past limiting beliefs, and illuminate their own paths. If you've ever felt stuck, unsure, or in need of inspiration to step in your power, this episode is for you. So, Carmen, let's dive in because we could talk and talk and talk and talk, but I want to start by, let's just chat about, okay, first of all, how we actually connected, because I think there's a really important and powerful lesson here, that it's never too late.
That's right.
Right? Can you share a little bit?
So we connected. I think we go back farther than I even know because I know your family quite well through hockey, but you and I really connected on that coffee we went on, and it was an open conversation. We were connecting. We knew we kind of had crossed paths a few times, but we had some really good conversations, and we've really kind of connected from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going back to how we knew each other's families through hockey and whatnot, but we kind of like had never really met. I feel
No.
like twins were doing hockey and your husband was coaching. I was also running with two other kids, so we didn't always have that chance. And then fast forward all this time later, and we kind of connect online, reach out, and then have a coffee. So I hope women, you hear this and it's never too late. Reach out, have that conversation, because you just never know what magic might come from it. Right?
Yeah.
So can you share a moment when someone made you feel truly seen or valued?
I can recall a lot of moments, and I remember a feeling behind that moment, and it was safe. I felt safe to be vulnerable, safe to be honest, safe to be myself. And when I felt seen and supported, I remembered that someone was highlighting my unique gifts and maybe gifts that I hadn't even given myself credit for. And that's what sticks in my mind.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. So as we dive into your story, you're kind of a little bit of like a multifaceted mamapreneur. You've got a couple of, you wear a couple of hats,
Yes.
don't you? So can you talk a little bit about, I mean, so for those of you who know, Carmen is also, she's a dentist, not also, she is a dental professional, has been, how many years have you been doing that?
Oh, over 20. I believe it's 22. Mm-hmm.
22 years. And then you've also added into that skill set life coaching. Can you tell me a little bit about how that happened?
Yeah, so coming into this journey, first of all, I'm a mom and like you, and I've been a dental professional and coaching, it kind of sprung up on me in a self-development space. I was on my own journey, self-development. I enrolled for life coach school and I actually didn't know what the outcome was. I didn't know if I was going to be a coach. I didn't know if it was for personal development. I was super curious about the process, so I enrolled. And that's when I started wearing the coach hat. I fell in love with coaching, what it did for me, and I knew I could help other women. And that's when I started wearing the coach hat. So it's been a beautiful addition to my life.
I love how coaches get into coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Too many
Yeah.
of us sit and dream like, oh, I'm going to become a life coach one day. But somehow it lands on many of our paths for one reason or another.
Mm-hmm.
So after doing your life coaching training, tell me a little bit what inspired you to create Illuminating Coaching.
Well, first of all, like I said, I learned myself so well. I was partnering with other coaches and I could see the power of transformation. And that partnership was it just brings on a whole new perspective and you do so much internal seeking, and I thought so many women can benefit from this. And before I finished my course, I was already starting Illuminating Coaching. It definitely came from a place of passion and I just wanted to share it, and that's how Illuminating Coaching was born.
Amazing. And you know, when we go through a coaching program, and I'm also a life coach, like you're not the same when you're done, right? Because we have to do the work first.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's hard work, but we have to do the work first before we actually can help others. Now, I know for you, so much of it um, has been like self-love of that foundation. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because I love how you speak about this. I think you're so articulate in this, and this is one of your strengths. But I think it's something that women need to hear over and over and over. So could you
Mhm.
speak to that?
I'm so passionate about self-love. So the foundation of my coaching is self-love, and I always knew I loved myself, but I didn't know it wasn't enough. What I mean by this is women, we are nurturers and we are givers and we want to keep the peace. We want to take care of everyone around us. And I, like many of my clients, fell into an unintentional people pleasing phase. I had lack of boundaries. I was worried about what other people were thinking. And the result of that is I was feeling burnt out. I felt unappreciated. I My internal light started to dim. And one day I was like, I don't know who I am anymore. How did this happen? And after reflection and changing, diving deep, it was my own patterns that were allowing this to happen. And when I figured out, well, I didn't have the tools at the time. And so I don't blame myself, but I didn't see the pattern. And after I figured out that we have to love ourselves more than anything else, and because we cannot give if we are not nurturing mind, body, soul. And when we love ourselves enough, we do come first, and those boundaries become easier. And we're not people pleasing because we're not afraid to say no, or we're not afraid to say I'm overwhelmed at this moment. And when we focus on that self-love, it becomes the ripple effect of giving the love and being present, and we show others it's okay to do the same. So that's why self-love is the foundation of my coaching. It is everything on how we want to live our life. We have to love ourselves.
Agreed. And I think, a lot of times women, we are busy in that caretaking role and trying to do all the things. And I think we think somebody else is going to fill that for us. And it actually doesn't work that way, because until we actually fall in love and really take care of ourselves, then the other people, it can fill into our cup. It isn't filling into our cup if we aren't even honoring that love for ourselves on our own.
Mm-hmm. And I think we all believe, like, I love myself, but the way we get into those patterns are lack of self-love or saying your feelings matter more than mine. I was making myself uncomfortable to make others comfortable. That is not okay. It hurt me in the end. And I thought I was being kind. I thought I was giving, but in the end, I was hurting myself.
Yeah. And I think so relatable. And I think we have to, as women, hear this so many times before we actually give ourselves that permission to stop and reevaluate and really ask ourselves, are we loving ourselves first?
Right?
There is no joke where you've got to fill your bucket first before you can fill someone else's.
I 100% agree, and I've experienced it.
So, can we talk just a little bit about your journey about wearing the hats of dental professional and life coach? Do those two worlds ever collide? Do you find you're taking your coaching into your workplace? Just like speak to that a little bit, because I think sometimes people think, oh, life coaches are a little like woo, or where do we really fit? But I also think sometimes we don't realize actually how valuable a coach could be in so many environments. So could you speak to that?
Of course. Well, again, like I said before, I don't think it's one hat here or there. All of our hats are bring us to a place. And where I am right now, everything I've done in dental has been a part of this. And the customer service, the facilitation, the working with a team, connected with women, there's so many things that cross over. And dental professionals are women too, and they need this as well. And it 1,000% crosses over. And I believe that any of us that have experience and we're pivoting, or we're adding a new career, or we're trying something new, there is value wearing all of those hats, and all of our experience makes us better. So yeah, I think
100%. And I
yeah.
think all of our experiences to that point, be it in another career or raising kids or whatever it is that have got us to today, all of those experiences and skills are really transferable in moving forward into what we're doing now.
And I think we're at a time in our life where so many people are pivoting, adding, but that's why they're so good at what they do, because we have life experience and we've worn several hats,
Many hats.
many hats.
Many hats. Agreed. Well, I love that, and I think it brings you bring a unique skill set to the table too when working with either like moms or professionals. Like, you kind of can speak to both, right? And how they come together. And I think, as you said, many are looking to add or change. I don't think, like, society has changed, the work environment has changed. Many of us are not going to be with the same company for 40 years. And I think that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, we're evolving. We should. We
We
should change.
should.
Yeah.
Yes. I would be bored if I was doing the same thing day in and day out for 40 years. For me. Okay, I want to shift a little and I want to talk about the hive and the power of community in personal growth. And specifically, let's talk about connection, integrity, and empowerment, because I think that's a lot of what a life coach can bring. But, you've built community. I've seen you in building community, bringing women together that encourages women to connect, grow, and feel supported. So what does that role in community play in your own personal transformation?
Well, community, we all know it's like-minded people coming together, people that we feel safe with, um, people that elevate us to grow and to cheer us on when things aren't good and they are good. And we need that community to be able to thrive. And it's really, really hard to do it alone. And it's lonely. And just to feel support or friendship or community, it empowers us to shine a little brighter and to do the same for someone else.
Yeah. And in
Mhm.
your own work, like how have you seen when you gather women, you work mostly with women, but when you gather like women in those types of events, creating that safe space, like what does that bring out in you, and what do you see that it brings out in them?
It's magic, for one. It lights me up so much, and I cannot wait to do more workshops and group coaching because the energy of the room, when you bring women together that have a common, what's the word I'm looking for? Like-minded
Like a
women,
common
right?
interest or
Like-minded women. They're coming there, they have great intentions, they're working on themselves. You can just see the support in the room, and they're communicating and they're laughing, and it's so safe. And like I said, it's magic. People are leaving and they just look a little bit brighter and they're standing a little bit taller. And for me to be able to create a space where women can do this, it lights me up. And that's why I'm in this position as a coach, because there's nothing like it for me. And I've always known I wanted to do more, and this is it for me.
I love it. I love it. And I think I agree with the magic. It is like it's community is your superpower.
It
We
is.
just aren't meant to do these things alone. And do you find, in being able to facilitate that safe space, or that space where you've really earned their trust and there's integrity, do you find then that as those women gather, they find really like they have a little bit of those aha moments where they're like, "Oh, I'm not alone." Like I thought it was just me over here in the corner losing my mind over like two teenagers who won't listen. Right? Like whatever it is, or I'm
Yeah.
not enjoying my job, or you know what I mean? But then do you find that, when that space where they can really be open and honest, do they find more they have more in common than they do have differences?
Absolutely. And I think this starts with the leadership, the community. And I'm the first one to say, I've struggled. These are some of my struggles, and I'm here so we can be open about it and we can have a conversation. And you can lean on me, and we should lean on each other, and we should open up the conversation. And that's where the commonality starts to come out, is we can speak up and we can have a voice. We can fill our own shoes. We can have an identity, and that matters.
Yeah, and I think for so many it is that, and even more so probably now, like over the evolution of this wild time we're living in over the last 5 years, and it seems like it's going to stay interesting for a while. But I think people have, we had to retreat so much, and it's really difficult now how to find those opportunities. And while online is great, I can 100% attest to where's the power of bringing a room full of women together and what changes. It's palpable. You can feel it to your soul, and the whole room feels it.
Mhm.
And that is, for me as a coach, it's such a privilege to be able to witness that. And you just sometimes we underestimate that power of just gathering people.
It is so much more. It's very powerful.
Yeah. And so I think like just to remember, like self-growth, we don't grow in isolation.
No, we
We
don't.
don't. We grow together. We grow through connection. We grow through these shared experiences. And I think, maybe you could talk a little bit, and this is I'm going out of our little order here a little bit, but I want to maybe talk about, because I think sometimes people think, oh, I've got to sign up for like a huge life coaching package. That's how you connect. I actually think that's the furthest thing from the truth. It is
Mhm.
available to you if that's somebody wants, but can you tell our listeners just a little bit about how you work? Because I've really seen you blossom over the last 3 months. I've seen you do some incredible things in our community. We're both Cochrane mamas here.
Mhm.
And so maybe just share a little bit so that the listeners can maybe, start to think about perhaps what offering would feel good to them.
Mhm. I think that I was in the same shoes. I didn't really know what a life coach was. I wasn't sure what to sign up for. And that's why I created the Vision to Life Vision Board workshops. And that was an opportunity to bring women together from the community. And there's no experience required, it's not one on one. You come in, and what we did is we made a vision board, and most people know what vision boards are, and we had material, but we also had a workbook, and we really did an inner reflection on what is it that we really want? Are we acting in alignment? Are we doing the things because we want to do them or because we should? And we really played back to our values, and we started cutting and pasting, and it was amazing how much everyone just blossomed and they were excited. And we made our boards, and not only did we make our boards, but we made a plan. How do we activate these boards? How are we going to meet those goals? And we had habit trackers, and we had goal setting sheets. And you and I both know that if you're going to run a marathon tomorrow, you don't go out and run the marathon. And that's the same as life coaching. And that is the same as self-development. Nothing happens overnight, but it's those small baby steps. And the Vision to Life Vision Board workshop was something super empowering within each individual there to shine and learn and grow on an individual level. But they also had access to me, and they had access to a workbook to say, whoa, this is pretty practical. It's just someone partnering with them to meet their goals. So I'm still doing the workshops. I'm offering private workshops, team building events as well. And I love the space, and it's safe, and everybody left and they were smiling and beaming, and they had their own personal goals and dreams and aspirations in their hand.
So good.
Mhm.
Can you tell them what was on your vision board?
Yeah.
Just the
um,
one, just the one thing that relates to
yeah,
this
for
conversation.
sure. So I did my vision board. I always say to all the women, you don't need to know what it means. If something attracts you, put it on your board. And I had an invitation from Amy to be on her podcast. And the first thing I said was yes. And I feel like I might cry because I just put this on my vision board. And I don't know what that purpose was. I didn't know if I was going to be on a podcast. I didn't know if I was going to have one 5 years from now or 2 months from now. But to me, that is just the power of positive thinking and manifestation, and knowing that anything is possible if your mind is open to it. So thank you, Amy, for having me on your
Well,
podcast.
I didn't know that that was actually on her vision board, but when we first talked, I was like, oh my gosh, that is manifestation, like you said, at its finest. And I think we often underestimate that power of manifestation, and I think it's, coming back to like, if you're really aligned with your core values, if you are really like intentional about your acts within your day, it really can blow your mind how much you can manifest. And again, it may not manifest in exactly the way you think, but it absolutely changes your mindset, and it really gives you momentum to move forward to whatever it is you're working towards for yourself. And those small daily steps comes back. I always think of Atomic Habits, like best book on habits ever, that one. Right? James Clear was so good with, talking about how to walk through your day, being really intentional and making sure you're moving the needle. So, can we talk about, maybe could you give maybe some feedback or insight to like, what is one small step toward a goal someone could take today, even though they're feeling, overwhelmed by the big picture?
Mm-hmm. Certainly with small steps, that's the beauty of them. We don't need to take such a big step that we're overwhelmed, and we don't need to shock our nervous system to be like, whoa, I'm so scared because you just took a big leap. Small steps is just something a little bit better than yesterday. And depending on what that goal is, you want to become a runner, that small step is, I'm going to make a plan on a calendar today. I'm going to set my running shoes out for tomorrow. I'm going to walk around the block. I'm going to tell a friend of my goal. It can be so small or big, whatever you're comfortable with, but small steps, we all are going to make our goal so much faster if we're being realistic. Imagine trying to go out for a 10-kilometer run when you're not a runner. Well, you're going to quit tomorrow. Of course you are. Right? It's about those baby steps, so it's not such a shock to the system.
And I think sometimes we underestimate the power of those baby steps, right? We
Mhm.
think it has to be the shock. Like, I'm going to disrupt the patterns. What we know and all the science behind it is that actually is the fastest way to quitting.
Yeah, I agree.
So when we like reel it in, break it down, walk through those, whatever it is, like, Carmen said, putting your shoes out the night before, reminding yourself, like, this is what you're working towards your goal, and this is your step for today. And that moves the needle, right?
Absolutely.
So I usually share in each episode a little bit of a journal prompt, should anyone later want to come back to it or open their journal. And this week's prompt, I'd really like you to even just to ponder a little and then go back to your journal at another point. But what would you do if you fully trusted yourself?
Mm.
Ooh, think about that one. What would you do if you truly trusted yourself? And just think about it. If you feel like sharing, please tag us so we can have a look. But I think it's important to really, give ourselves permission to ask ourselves these questions. What do we really want?
That's so,
Right?
so
So that
powerful.
we can say, what do I really want? And if I'm truly like living in alignment of self love, what would I really ask of the world or the universe? And I think you'll be surprised what comes up. And I actually challenge you to ask yourself this more than once. I actually challenge you to revisit this one from time to time. So I love this conversation, Carmen. We could talk forever. So we may have to do a part two down the road, but I want you to tell people where they can find you, how they can connect or work with you. So tell them a little bit about, we talked a little bit about the Illuminating Coaching offerings, but where's the best place to find you?
Well, you can find me on my website at www.illuminatingcoaching.ca. You can see information about me, coaching. There's a frequently asked questions. I'm also on Instagram at Illuminating Coaching. And I also offer a 30-minute discovery meeting. So if anyone felt a little bit of pull or curiosity after this podcast, that is the thing to do. Book that 30-minute session. It's information. We can connect.
I love that. And I
Mhm.
highly recommend you reaching out to Carmen. She has got such wonderful insight and just the way she shows up for her clients is just amazing. So thank you so much for being part of the archive today. I hope this episode has left you feeling inspired, connected, and reminded that you are never alone on this journey. If this conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your takeaways, tag me on social media, and let's keep this hive buzzing. And don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and invite someone you care about to join us. Until next time, keep honoring your arc, leaning into the hive, showing up for yourself and your community, because together we are better and we are stronger. This is the ARC Hive Podcast. See you soon.